Hello and welcome to this presentation. My name is Jose Flores and this is the International Student Recruiting Strategy sponsored by the Lycus Group. So let's take a few minutes to go over today's agenda. I'll take a minute to explain who am I and a little bit about my company. I will go over the current international recruitment landscape. Focus on the traditional ways to recruit international students. We'll spend some time going over how English language institutes on your campus recruit. And we'll also talk about the new collaborative approach that some institutions are using. We'll cover what an international student pathway program is all about and discuss what are the best ways to recruit international students. We'll then wrap up our session, leave you with a number and an email to follow up on your questions. Here's some quick information about our company. We are an experienced group of higher education professionals. Our team includes a former college president, a former VP of enrollment, a former CIO from a college, international recruitment specialists, academic deans, and student life specialists. Combined, we have over 50 years of higher education experience. For more information, go to www.licas.net or call 888-602-0228, 888-602-0228. If you're not recruiting international students, others are. Many universities today have chosen to increase their international populations on campus. This is mainly due to a decrease in enrollment in the domestic college-bound student population. The following chart, titled International Student Enrollment Trends from the National Center for Education Statistics, tells us that there has been an increase in international students in our colleges and universities. The increase really begins in 2007 with 623,805 students. The statistics tell us that this number has grown to 723,277,000 since 2011. If your institution is not maximizing international student recruitment, you're missing a great recruitment opportunity. So where are these students coming from? This table, titled International Student Enrollment by Country, shows us where most students are coming from. This table was taken from the Open Doors Report of International Exchange. As you can see, China is leading the charge with 21.8% of the US international student population. India represents about 14.4% of the student population. And South Korea has 10.1% of the student population. If you have a recruiting staff planning travel, these countries might be great areas to develop relationships. So what degrees are they looking for? As you can see, there seems to be a high interest in graduate programs. Interesting, since it's quite difficult to enter graduate schools in the United States as an international student. Many graduate students have to take GREs, GMATs, LSATs, and MCATs for professional schools. And these exams are not readily available outside the United States. We'll come back to this. Of course, there is also a large interest in undergraduate programs. And now, a growing interest in non-degree programs, like short-term certificate programs. For those of you who are running intersessions, international student recruitment might be the way to go. So what types of international recruiting strategies are higher educational institutions using today? Here are 3 tables that define some strategies for international recruitment. The first table shows us the traditional strategy, where colleges and universities recruit at American or international schools abroad. In this recruiting strategy, colleges and universities join international recruiting tours. They also do individual visits to international schools abroad. and they do yield events or student and parent receptions. The second table shows us ELI. ELI means English Language Institutes. These are English language programs established in colleges and universities that support international students with language deficiencies. These programs use agents to recruit students. I should also point out that now, even graduate and undergraduate recruiting operations are using agents. The last table is called the collaborative approach. This is when a college or university works with an external English language school in a collaborative fashion to recruit international students. They cross-brochure or include information about each other's programs in their brochures. They develop joint academic programs. A few English language schools that do this are King's Colleges, Kaplan, ELS, and Study Group. We'll come back and discuss these individually, but all of these strategies are common among colleges and universities' admissions operations. So let us focus now on the traditional recruiting strategy. How does it work? In my experience, it begins with the purchasing of international names. And of course, the international tours that visit high schools that teach English. If an institution recruits enough students, then they have to have yield events or student-parent receptions. This strategy also involves building relationships with international guidance counselors. That means that the recruiter will need to join international organizations like Overseas ACAC and NAFSA. These combined efforts lead colleges and universities to international student enrollment. So what are the positives and negative aspects of this strategy? Well, the positives are students are learning at an international school that teaches English. These students most likely took the SATs. And most of them can likely afford a 4-year education. Although in some cases, there are students who are on scholarship. Now let's focus on the negatives for a second. It's very costly to recruit these students. They are used to getting the brochures in the mail. So you need a large international mailing budget. Also, recruiting can cost up to $15,000, including travel and expenses. And if you add your yield events, well, it just will be more. It takes time also to build relationships with these guidance counselors. Every college and university is working really hard to get their attention. And finally, these students are in high demand by colleges and universities. Let's spend some time talking about English Language Institutes on college and university campuses. My experience tells me that many of these programs are run by academics who focus on establishing a strong curriculum and hiring staff. Marketing and recruitment is mostly done through print publication and online venues. In most cases, ELI programs don't really have a recruiting staff. Interesting enough, the university's recruiting staff is usually focused on the recruitment of traditional international students and not English language learners. There's a very good reason for this. Recruiting English language learners requires a different strategy than the traditional one. The truth is, most admissions operations can't really do both and still manage their workload. So what else do they do to recruit students? They establish relationships with agents abroad and partner schools. Working with agents is not easy. One time I worked with an agent that sent me 20 applications. Ironically, every student had the same grade point average. They also had the same amount of money on their bank statement. My hope is that most of you who are working with these agents are doing the proper background checks. ELI programs also work really hard on making sure that students have a great experience. They believe in the word-of-mouth lead, and in some cases, this actually works. So the combination of these strategies helps ELI programs enroll international students. What are the positives and negatives of building your own English Language Institute? Well, the positives include Institutional control over the curriculum can help you structure some bridge programs into your college or university. ELI programs usually have all levels of English language learning. If it's your program, it'll be easier to gain support from the university faculty. If it's properly funded and staffed, it can be very successful. Make sure you hire a recruiting staff, though. Now, some of the negatives in the strategy are cost. You'll have to spend money on staff and recruitment. If you have not hired a recruiting staff, it'll be hard to attract students. I mean a recruiting staff as in plural, more than one. We'll come back to this. Wait to hear about the size of the recruiting staffs of privately owned English language schools. Be careful. Just because your ELI student can't afford the ELI reduced tuition, it does not necessarily mean that they can afford your undergraduate tuition. There are many competitors in this business, and they are spending the money to recruit the students. Finally, the collaborative approach. I'm a big fan of this one. So what happens in this strategy? You start by finding the right partner. You collaborate in joint marketing efforts. Possibly leverage your new partner's contacts abroad. Even consider doing some joint recruitment. This strategy works if you find the right partner. It's fast and it yields higher volumes of students. Let's spend some time going over the international student pathway phenomenon. The most successful pathway programs have been established using a collaborative strategy. It turns out that most English language learners are seeking a higher education. Can your institution establish credit-bearing courses where a student is learning English if they have the right grades? If so, then a pathway program is for you. You can enroll cohorts of students at low cost. A word of caution. If you bring an international student to your campus, make sure you have the services to support them. Yes, that means that you might need to open all year round. This is a topic for another discussion. Going back to the pathway program phenomenon, I've seen faculty and administrators work together with an external entity to establish a strong pathway program, and it's worked. Be sure to include your provost and your VP of enrollment in the conversation. If you can accomplish this, then get ready for the future international enrollment. Out of all of these strategies, which one is the best one for your institution? I look at this by measuring time and money. It all depends on what you're currently doing as well. Perhaps you might want to combine some of these strategies. I know institutions that have. The first thing I would do is look at the mission statement and check if recruiting international students is for your institution. If it is, all you'll need is a meticulous process to prepare your community. The process is usually followed by an execution plan. But calculate how much time you're willing to spend on this, and how much money you're willing to spend on this, and how quickly you want all of this to turn around. Or call us, and we might be able to focus your desire to recruit international students. So what's the best recruiting approach? Well, that depends on who you are and what institution you work for. The one thing that I focus on is time and money. You might be involved already in some of these recruiting initiatives. The question is whether or not it's helped you attain your goals. The traditional route has paid off for many people. The English Language Institute route for a university or a college has also paid off. But to me, the collaborative approach, it's the way to do it quick and save money. Perhaps you can infuse a combination of these strategies to help you achieve your recruiting goals. On behalf of Lycus, I would like to thank you for joining this presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us. I'm Jose Flores from the Lycus Group. I can be reached at 888-602-0228. My email, floresj@licas.net. Thank you.